Professor Antonia Trichopoulou to give her presentation. A lot of the scientific evidence has been comes out of Greece. Thank you.
I know that I have only 10 minutes and the chairman is very, very tough. So I will try also to raise some points. It was mentioned repeatedly that about copyright. I want to tell you that from 1999 we have on our national dietary guidelines, food-based guidelines based on Mediterranean diet. No other Mediterranean country has adapted the Mediterranean diet on the base of their national guidelines. And this is free, accessible to the internet by everybody. And it's very similar to the one we have been, we worked the last 2 days and it was approved by all of us. The second, sorry. So there is a room at the national level to develop your national guidelines. And keep in mind that EFSA is developing food-based guidelines, and the information they are available in the internet. And on the section referring to the monounsaturated fat, he said that no sufficient evidence exists for its health properties. So, the other issue which I want to bring to your attention is that all the evidence on the association of the Mediterranean diet to health lies on the traditional Mediterranean diet, the diet which exists before the 60s, as was described by our colleague from Puglia. Don't forget that. If we are talking about anything, it has to be substantiated by scientific evidence. This is a meta-analysis of all the papers which they have been published in really very important international journals, and they are using the same score, the traditional Mediterranean diet score. And then, of course, it was kindly mentioned by Dr. Berry that we recently published a paper, and we have seen that the most important elements of the Mediterranean diet for health promotion is olive oil, wine, fruit, vegetables, and reduced meat. But one other point, all the scientific papers, they say that is the pattern which expresses this protective effect. Not magic bullets, not individual foods. It's the pattern which expresses, and we don't know which synergies, interaction, and exist between the various foods. We have tried the last 5 years, tried to find something. But the traditional Mediterranean diet is associated with longer survival, no question about that. But this could be partly attributed to the traditional foods. And I want to spend 2 or 3 moments on that, because in our new pyramid, on the base, on the most important part of the pyramid, is mentioned local foods and seasonality. This is a key element for the Mediterranean diet. This is a key element for health. This is a key element for sustainable environment. This is a key element for biodiversity and for economy. Because this goes directly to small-sized enterprises. But before anything else, we have to know, as we know what means traditional Mediterranean diet, we have to know what is traditional foods. Because if we are going the way many others they are going, in 10 years, nobody will believe on traditional Mediterranean diet and traditional Mediterranean food. They are vested interests, and they change the originality and the value of the traditional foods. So we have been working for 3 years, 23 scientists from 14 European countries to develop a definition of what means traditional foods. You like it or not? traditional foods, they are the foods which they were prepared before the 60s. So the Mediterranean diet is expressed by a plethora of traditional foods. We have been working for 20 years on traditional foods in my country. We register them, we videotape them, we chemically analyze them. And I can tell you some example. For example, a pie which prepared the Pulian way with many wild greens has 10 times more quercetin than a glass of wine or of tea. But nobody knows that. Nobody promotes that. And the caper, which you know, Pantelleria is the worldwide, it's the country for caper, the place where you produce a lot of caper. You have a humble dish, fava, produced in Santorini. But when you add a sauce with capers, onion, and garlic, then the antioxidant content of this food, it's rocket skyrocket. I could continue for hours. I will tell you that if we're going to have claims, you have to consider also traditional foods, because more than often they cover the 15% for many nutrients, so they could have a claim. But since time is very short, I want also to say that if the simple, the humble bean soup, it's really have a very high oxygen radical absorption capacity, and that is translated high antioxidant capacity. We have chemically analyzed the traditional Greek diet of 1 week. It was to our great surprise, which is very similar to the one which is eaten in Puglia, in Calabria, in Sicily, in Morocco, in Lebanon, in Israel. And we have found to our great surprise that the micronutrients which they are offered by these traditional foods are exactly the same. With they meet the recommendation of World Health Organization and of European Commission. So I'm finishing. Dr. Barbara Kim, she has done an excellent work on the traditionality of foods, on local environment, biodiversity, and I will speak after that. But I want to bring to your attention to only two slides, two papers, which, well, one was by Sophie, and he spoke about a variety of Italian grains seem to impose favorable biochemical changes in healthy subjects, with lower circulating levels of marker of atherosclerosis, which happen to the various varieties. So this is biodiversity. And I have been in Puglia more than often because I think that Puglia is the heart of the Mediterranean diet in Italy. And then I was aware that there are small-sized enterprises which they do pasta the old way, because some scientists from the University of Bari, I think, they told me that the pre-war traditional system was based on a refined flour dried at low temperature. Today's pasta, they are at very high temperature. And this might have implication in the glycemic index and in the glycotoxins. So, all this to be discussed later on and to be decided. Thank you very much.